Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
And I'm Erin Palmer, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
Joining us is Montgomery County Councilmember Evan Glass. Welcome.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining us, council member. Before we talk about what you're doing as a member of the council and what is happening in Montgomery County, please tell our viewers a little bit about your background and who you are.
Yeah, well, I appreciate being on the show, and I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and grew up in a home with a single mom who worked two jobs to provide for me. My parents divorced when I was young and came down to Washington, D.C. to attend American University. And as we got into Tenleytown, my mother started crying and said, "You're never coming home again." And she knew I was going to stay in the D.C. region for a very, very long time. And since graduating college, I worked at CNN for 12 years, where I was a journalist covering national politics and presidential campaigns. And during that same time, I wanted to figure out how to fix sidewalks in my own neighborhood. And that's when I learned about local government. And after 12 years of CNN, I started getting more politically involved. And now I'm in my second term serving on the Montgomery County Council, where I chair the Transportation and Environment Committee and help build sidewalks for people all across Montgomery County.
Fabulous, fabulous. I lived in Montgomery County for quite a long time as well, right after college. So Montgomery County is always close to my heart. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some things. So new policies regarding the environment and climate change are being considered by governments all over the world. What is Montgomery County doing to address those concerns on the local level in Maryland?
These are issues of importance to me because we got to make sure that our environment and our planet are here for generations to come. And I'll give you some information. In Montgomery County, about 50% of all our carbon emissions come from buildings, from our physical infrastructure. So I am currently working with my colleagues on policies that are going to make our buildings greener and more energy efficient. It's called Building Energy Performance Standards. And if we want to make our environment better, we need to make our buildings better. And so this is a big piece of legislation that we're working on right now to make sure that we can improve our buildings. And then the transportation is the second part of making our community greener. About 42% of our carbon emissions comes from transportation. So that means we need to continue supporting our metro system. We need to build bus rapid transit, and we need to make sure that people are safe when they're walking and biking all across our community. So those are issues that I have been working on. Yes, there's me walking down the street with my husband on a 4th of July parade, making sure our streets are safe for everybody, because far too many people are getting injured while simply walking on or biking. And so we need to make sure that everybody is safe when they're outside. But as a whole, we really need to protect our most precious resource, which is our planet. And that is been one of my top priorities, and it's things we're working on here in the council as well.
Council member, another issue that is important to many communities in Maryland as well is housing and housing affordability. And I'm wondering if you can tell our viewers what the Montgomery County Council is doing with regard to affordable housing.
Yeah, housing affordability is, I think, one of the biggest issues facing us as a community. I know too many 20-somethings who are still at their parents' house. And it's not because they necessarily want to. It's because there are few, if any, options for them to find an apartment or a group home that they have. I moved from Washington, D.C. to Montgomery County more than 20 years ago because the rent was cheap. And the rent's not that cheap anymore. And that's true of the entire DC region. So one of the things that we have to do is build more housing that is affordable, so that if you are a young person just graduating college or in the middle of your first job and career, you can get a small apartment or find a small house where you can live with roommates, right? As so many of us used to be able to do. And also, we need housing for young couples. Once you get married and you're about to have a kid, you need to be able to find a house so that you can stay in the same community. You don't have to go all the way out into other parts of the state or outside of the region where then you're dependent on driving your car to get to your jobs and visiting your friends. And then also we need affordable housing for our seniors, right? So many of them, when they retire, they're on fixed incomes and housing costs just continue to increase. So we need to build more homes that are affordable for condos or apartment buildings so that people who might be empty nesters move out of their home and into another place to live, and that young people can then move into their home, right? The cycle of housing. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that if we want more housing to be affordable, we need more housing. And right now, I think we are in this time where we recognize that we need to build more housing. And I have been very supportive of reforming some of our zoning laws to make sure that we can build different types of housing for different types of people, and they cost different amounts of money. Whether you have less money to spend on rent, or you're a retiree and you maybe have a lot more money to spend on rent. We need more housing for everybody. And it's something that I've been working on here in Montgomery County because it's something this entire region really, really needs.
Awesome. Awesome to hear that. Now, public safety and crime are serious concerns for residents throughout the metropolitan area. So, is there any new legislation which will combat that? And does this include anything to specifically target hate crimes?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. And we want everybody to enjoy our community. And I think one of the great things about living in Montgomery County is our diversity. And sometimes diversity brings challenges, and not everybody naturally gets along, but we have to work at it. And that is why I created last year the Anti-Hate Task Force, the Montgomery County Anti-Hate Task Force, and I also passed the Safe Streets Act. The Safe Streets Act is to make sure that people are safe when they're walking or biking throughout Montgomery County, and that when our kids are walking to school, that they are safe. One of the most precious things we have, our children, is to make sure that when they go to and from school, that they are safe. And so we're going to make sure that we review our walk to school plans. We're going to make sure that if you are crossing the street, and if it's downtown Silver Spring or Bethesda or Rockville, that cars are prohibited from turning on red so that you can safely cross the street, and that you actually have a little bit more time to cross the street, because sometimes the clocks to the timers to cross are not long enough for people to be able to walk. And so that's why I passed the Safe Streets Act, and it's being worked on right now. It's being implemented right now. And then the other aspect is the Anti-Hate Task Force. Hate crimes are on the rise, not only in Montgomery County, but across the country. And I looked at the statistics and saw that there were 5 groups, community groups, that were the most affected by hate in our community. And those 5 groups are our Muslim neighbors, our Jewish neighbors, our Asian American Pacific Islander neighbors, our Latino and Hispanic neighbors, our Black and African American neighbors, and then also the LGBTQ plus community. So there are 6 groups total. And as a gay man and a Jew myself, I have been on the receiving end of hate and vitriol. And I know that so many people in Montgomery County, we have to appeal to our better angels and make sure that we are able to understand each other and support each other, while also recognizing that we're different. And so the Anti-Hate Task Force worked for a number of months, and we put together a number of policy initiatives that we're working through right now. But ultimately, Montgomery County has 3 of the 10 most diverse communities in the entire country: Germantown, Gaithersburg, and Silver Spring. The three most diverse places in the entire country are here in Montgomery County. So we got to work really hard to make sure that everyone knows our diversity is our strength, and that we say with one voice that hate has no home here. And that's what I've been working on with all of our neighbors as well.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Councilmember. It's interesting and valuable to hear about how you conceive of public safety and the ways in which it touches on different realms of our lives, whether that's how we walk to school or how we engage with our neighbors. So thank you for that. I'm wondering if you can tell us what's on your agenda for the remainder of your current term.
What's on my agenda for the remaining of my term? So there are a number of things I'm working on right now. One is also regarding public safety. About 10 years ago, I was asked to serve on what was then called the Nightlife Economy Task Force. And the former county executive of Montgomery County put it together because we didn't have enough young people moving to Montgomery County. So he said, let's get some young people together when I used to be young, and let's figure out what we need to do to encourage nightlife. And so I was part of this group, and we extended the hours for our bars and our restaurants and other nightlife venues. But a decade later, our nightlife is thriving, but some people are concerned that we haven't put enough parameters around it. We've let it thrive a little too much. And so I've introduced a piece of legislation with some colleagues, making sure that nightlife ends around 2 or 3 in the morning, because that's a good time, 2 or 3 in the morning. And there have been some businesses that have complained and neighbors who have complained, and also our police officers. That is a time of the morning or night when we need some additional public safety in some of our downtown areas. And so we've introduced legislation basically closing some of the restaurants, the bars, and some of the tobacco shops at 2 or 3 in the morning, so that everyone can go to bed, everyone can get a good night's sleep, and then we start the day fresh the next day. So I'm working on that right now. Other things that I have ahead of me, it might only be the winter and spring, but we're already looking towards Pride, because we got to continue celebrating our LGBTQ plus community and making sure that despite what happens in the Supreme Court or in Congress or in places around the country, that everybody is safe and welcome here for who they truly and authentically are. And we got to remind people that love is love and hate has no home here. And so we're working on Pride, a lot of events. I know people go to DC, people go to Baltimore, they go other places. Well, I want them to come to Montgomery County too. And we're working on a number of great events for that. And those are just 2 things that come to the top of my mind, but we're always working.
Awesome. And I'm glad you brought up those 2 things specifically, because as someone who lived in Montgomery County for a long time, I will say the one thing that I always thought about was the fact that when it came to nightlife, specifically LGBTQ nightlife, there was not a lot of it in Montgomery County. So hopefully with Pride and with whatever, we can start to, invite people in. Hopefully there will be some businesses set up, some nice nightlife things, so that people don't have to necessarily go into the district for that, but they can have a good time in Silver Spring as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, when you open up that bar, let me know, and I'll
I love it. I love it. Certainly so. So, in our remaining moments, would you please share at least one of the best things about Montgomery County, perhaps something new, upcoming, or an established favorite?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about Montgomery County, aside from the people and aside from the food, is a place called Brookside Gardens.
Mm.
And, we all get caught up in the hustle and bustle of work here in the DC region. But when you want to get outside, especially as spring is about to be upon us, there is nothing more beautiful than this place called Brookside Gardens, which is a county-owned nature center in Wheaton. And when you want to see some beautiful flowers, get some fresh air, and walk along the paths, go check out Brookside Gardens. It is an oasis, and it is where I typically go to clear my head.
We all need more green space in our lives, so thank you for that recommendation. For folks who haven't been there, it is a joy. Council member, please tell our viewers how they can learn more about you and what you are up to as a council member.
Yeah, well, you can follow me on social media. My official handles are on the screen, CM Evan Glass or Councilmember Evan Glass. And also my personal handles are Evan M. Glass, and the M stands for Matthew, my middle name. So you can find me either way, my official or my personal. And you see me, my husband, my two beagles, and anything else that I do during my days.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Councilmember Glass. Viewers, please look in the description below for links. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure getting to chat with you, getting to learn more about what you do, and, engaging more with everything that has to do with the upward mobility of the fabulous Montgomery County. So thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Have yourselves a wonderful day.
Thank you.
To those watching, please follow Team Rayceen on social media.
And click around our YouTube channel and check out our other interviews, forums, vlogs, and more. And while you're there, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But most of all, viewers, thank you for watching.